to Ask the Patient Advocate podcast, where we will discuss all things related to navigating your health. I am Dr. Elena Borrelli, and I'm so excited to talk about such an important topic of private patient advocacy. Managing your health and navigating the healthcare system is challenging, but it's a lot better when we go through it together. Welcome back to a new episode of Ask the Patient Advocate podcast. Today, we're talking about something many patients feel, but don't always say out loud. There comes a moment when the question isn't just, what's wrong with me? It becomes, is anyone actually listening? You've gone to the appointments, you've explained your symptoms over and over. You've waited for test results, you've followed the treatment plans, and yet you still feel stuck. If that sounds familiar, then this episode is for you. Joining me today is Christine, a member of our team. Welcome, Christine. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here again, Dr. Borelli. Well, I know a lot of patients are asking this. They're also confused because of this. Why do you think so many patients feel, stuck in the healthcare system, and especially for patients who has like chronic or complex conditions?
I think, honestly, it's because modern healthcare is complicated and often very fragmented. Providers are balancing heavy schedules and short visit times. Specialists focus on their specific area, and sometimes no one person is looking at the full picture. So when care becomes like fragmented, then we have patients that end up carrying the burden of connecting the dots between specialists, test results, and treatment plans. They don't know how to do that. They weren't educated or trained to do that. Even healthcare professionals have trouble and challenges trying to do that. How do they expect a patient to do that that's coming from, the other side? It's exhausting, especially when you're already not feeling well. Feeling stuck isn't a personal failure. It's often a system navigation issue.
Right. So why do patients blame, themselves when progress stalls? Most of the time, many patients internalize this experience and they start wondering if they're explaining things wrong or asking too many questions. And why does that happen? What do you think that?
Yeah, so because when answers don't come, and symptoms persist, patients look inward. So they think, am I describing this clearly? Like, am I doing something wrong? Am I being difficult? Should I stop bringing this up? And it kind of, you get nervous and you get worried about bringing things up because you don't want to be misinterpreted or considered in a different way. But the truth is, stalled progress is rarely about how well someone explains their symptoms. Healthcare systems are rushed, communication gaps happen, and sometimes important details get lost in the shuffle. Feeling stuck doesn't mean that your condition isn't real. It means that you may need more structured support. And I think that's a very key factor to highlight.
I absolutely agree with you. And what is the emotional impact of not feeling heard? What happens when patients repeatedly feel dismissed or misunderstood?
It leaves a lasting impact. I mean, patients often describe feeling frustrated, defeated, or invisible. And I can relate to that too, being on the other end. Over time, many stop bringing up symptoms because they fear being labeled anxious or difficult, or kind of just having inaccurate information placed on the chart that kind of follows them. This emotional shutdown can be dangerous. When patients stop speaking up, important clinical clues get missed. Care can stall even further. And then feeling heard isn't just about comfort, it's essential for accurate diagnosis and effective treatment.
I agree. And, I think this is where private patient advocacy can really change the system, right? Like entirely. How does a private patient advocate help when someone feels unheard?
Absolutely. Private patient advocacy isn't about arguing with providers. It's really about creating clarity, structure, confidence, so care can move forward. So a private patient advocate can help with this. A private patient advocate can help organize medical story so providers see the full picture in an appropriate amount of time that they actually are able to focus and listen. Prepare clear, focused questions before appointments. Help identify patterns and symptoms or treatment responses. Um, Clarify confusing medical language, which is huge. coordinate communication between other providers and specialists, and support you in pursuing these second opinions or next steps. Sometimes they seem like these minor tasks, but they're really not, especially when you add them all up. They're definitely game changers. Sometimes progress begins simply because someone helped you prepare and communicate effectively.
I love that. And I think that's very true. What changes when patients feel supported? Like what do you see happen when someone has a support in their corner as a private patient advocate?
I think the biggest thing is relief. Many patients describe feeling prepared instead of anxious, confident instead of overwhelmed. They walk into appointments knowing their concerns are organized and clearly expressed. Advocacy restores something healthcare can unintentionally take away, and that's confidence. And confidence leads to better conversations, stronger decision making, and more forward movement.
You're absolutely right. You often say progress doesn't always mean immediate answer.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
So, healthcare journeys are rarely linear, and I think that's really important for everyone to hear and know. Progress may not look like progress at first, so it may not look like a sudden diagnosis or a quick fix. Sometimes progress looks like being taken seriously, exploring new specialists, creating a clear, manageable plan, identifying next steps with intention. And private patient advocacy helps create movement, turning frustration into actual actions and uncertainty into direction. And I think that is such a big, important, difference to highlight.
I love that. And for anyone, if you've been asking yourself, is anyone listening? We want you to hear this clearly. Your voice matters, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You deserve to feel heard, seen, and supported. At Pathway Patient Advocates, we work alongside individuals and families who feel stuck, unheard, or overwhelmed. Through personalized private patient advocacy, we're able to help prepare for appointments, understand your options, coordinate care, and ensure that your voice is actually part of every conversation, which typically is not kind of the standard of care, unfortunately. And you don't have to navigate this alone.
Very well said, Dr. Borelli. That's absolutely right. For anyone looking for help for themselves or for their loved ones, there are so many ways to reach out to us. You can give us a call at 947-517-8395.
Thank you, Christine. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope this conversation helps our listeners feel more confident as they navigate their healthcare journeys. If you have a question for Ask the Patient Advocate, email advocate@pathwaypa.com. Managing your health and navigating the healthcare system is challenging, but it's a lot better when we go through it together.